Hey guys, how you doing? Right, so in this video I want to show you how to clean a knapsack. I want to show you how to deal with a knapsack that's clogged up, and I want to show you what I do when the handle starts sticking in. So it's 3 little tips, 3 little ways just to extend the life and make it a little bit more durable and make your life easier. So I've got 2 knapsacks here. We've got the Cooper Pegler CP3 Classic, which is the yellow one, and that is what I've been using for years and years and years, and it's just my personal knapsack of choice. And then we've got this Oregon knapsack sprayer here. This was really cheap, about £30. The others are about, I don't know, 200 quid, something like that, but they are literally bulletproof. I've been using them for years. So you don't normally need to clean it out too much when you're doing normal chemicals like weed killers, etc. But when you put something like iron in, it will stain the inside, and the iron will also corrode pipework and rubbers over time. Now, over the years, every time I'm applying iron in the winter, I find that this pipe tends to split around there, and it drips down and goes down the back of my trousers. So we end up having to cut a bit of pipe off and just making it a bit shorter. But that is what it is. So in terms of actual cleaning, when you've applied your iron and you want to give it a bit of a clean out, it's so simple. You just need a sponge and some warm soapy water. Okay, let that soak, and you can get in there with a sponge or a brush and you can agitate it a bit. Get some gloves on. These are disposable gloves. Roll your sleeves up. Alright, and just get in, bit of a clean around. Now you won't get it perfectly clean, but what you will get is most of the crud off, and it'll just keep it a little bit better. Now when you've finished, you see the colour on my arm there? That's the colour of iron, and that's what goes on your paths when it stains. So you don't want that on your clothes or anywhere. It's yeah, pretty mucky, horrible stuff. So with the rinse-ins, you can go and spray them on your lawn, which is the best thing to do because it's just a weaker form of iron now. So it's mainly just water you're putting on, and a little bit of washing up liquid is not going to do your lawn any harm whatsoever. If you're a bit unsure, go to an area of lawn which you perhaps aren't that bothered about. But just get yourself over, spray it through, and all that warm water will work its way through the pipework and through the system and out the other end. So I'll go and do that, and then I'll come back here. Now obviously, if this was something like Roundup or weed killer that you just had in, you don't want to be going spraying it back on your lawn because you're going to cause some damage. But iron is not going to cause any major damage whatsoever. But that's another story for another day. So I'm going to go and get this sprayed out. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so that's been sprayed out. So if you do that every now and again with some iron, try not to leave iron in there too long, and it'll just keep the inside a little bit cleaner. Remember to spray it through, and then if you're going to use it for something else afterwards, spray it through afterwards with some clean water 2 or 3 times. So you are basically putting some clean water in Fill it up halfway, give it a shake about and spray it through, and repeat that 2 or 3 times. This is just for iron. It's a different matter when it's weed killer. You need really good rinsing. Anyway, so what else can we do? There are filters which need to be cleaned. People get things clogged up from time to time. When you're spraying iron, if you haven't mixed the iron up enough, it can clog up. And it makes it hard to pump. And when you're pumping, it just feels like you're pumping really hard and not much is coming out, as though there's a big blockage. I want to show you something. So, every knapsack is a little bit different, but on Cooper Pegler, there are filters, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into everything. There's no point and there's no need. So, there is a filter here, inside the handle. Okay? Now, to remove it, you've got to undo this round nut here. Now, I've already slightly undone it, using some of these, but mole grips are better. You just undo that. What you want to do is release the pressure first as well. So you go over to your lawn and just hold it over and pull the handle, and then all the pressure is being sprayed out. Okay? And that was just the last few drips within the handle. So here, we undo this. Now if you haven't released all the pressure, it will gush out and go all over you and make a right mess. If you're unsure, you could get an old bin bag and just put the entire contents of this inside a bin bag while you're undoing this, because you don't want it going over all your nice patio and pavers and things like that. But I've already released the pressure, although there may still be a little bit of something in here. Okay, so that's the point now. So we undo this, and that is the filter. Now all it is, it's a piece of plastic with some holes in and some ribs. And that is a build-up of iron, which makes it harder to pump. So I normally use a toothbrush or a little metal steel wire brush, but I can't put my fingers on it. So if you haven't got that, you can just use a piece of kitchen roll. Okay, take all that off, keep giving it a wipe. You can always give it a bit of a swish in some water. Okay, and what you'll end up with is a filter where you can see the holes nice and easily, and everything will go through. Alright, but it's better with a toothbrush, don't get me wrong, and I normally keep one in the van, but I can't put my finger on it at the minute. However, having said that, this doesn't happen too often if you really shake and mix your iron well. Like 100 shakes. It doesn't happen very often. Before I was mixing it 100 times, this would be clogging up every day. Now I'm lucky if it clogs up every 2 or 3 weeks. But that's it. Okay, so when you're done, just pop that back in, tighten everything up. And it does need to be tight. So that's hand tight, and that is usually enough, but it does need to be really tight. So if you get some mole grips, not these, my mole grips somewhere as well, and just nip it up with that. Okay, and that is good to go. Now, that will stop you from getting the clogging up and the hard to spray. Now, one other thing that people sometimes get is they'll press the trigger and it will stay in the locked open position and it won't spring back. And the reason for that on these ones is there's a metal pin just inside there. Now you can, if you wish, undo this and take it all apart, and there's a spring in there. You can take everything out and give it a good clean with some warm soapy water, and put a bit of grease on down here. But I don't do that very often. Most of the time what I will do, I'll just get some WD-40. Now, I put some on about 2 weeks ago. You can see it's not bad, but you can feel a bit of resistance and click in there. So I just get some WD. Quick squirt. And then just activate it. Squeeze it a few times. Give it a wipe down. And that's it. So that is it in terms of maintenance for most things. We're not getting in depth. We're not talking about changing diaphragms and pumps and bits and bobs. But in general, that's pretty much all you need to think about. Is just keeping on top of this, yeah, and then keeping that nice. So I'm just going to show you once more on the other sprayer. So we've got here the Oregon sprayer. Now, I bought this last summer to use on my own lawn, and you guys saw me unboxing it and putting it together. I've used it a few times. It's not a bad little sprayer for money. To me, if it breaks, you can afford to throw it away for what it costs. But it's nice and simple, and it does the job. If it lasts 1 year, I personally would be happy. But obviously, we don't want that sort of attitude. So it's the same sort of principle in here, in the handle. Okay. We undo this. Okay. And you've got a little filter there, and that's pretty clean anyway, but this has only had things like seaweed in and the odd bit of weed killer. Okay, it is a cheap plastic sprayer, but it's been okay. And again, we've got the same trigger, it's the same principle, but it's a plastic lever there. Okay, plastic. And again, if you wanted to, you can undo the top, and in here you'll see a spring and the inside workings. Okay, now that spring just literally pushes, enables this to be pushed back down, and inside it's just a little red lever. So put that back in. But all these parts are cleanable. Now, one last thing people sometimes ask me, and it's regarding the nozzles. So I'm going to show you this on the other sprayer, and I just need to get something out of my van. So, there are of course different types of nozzles. Now, this is a green nozzle which we use to spray iron on. You can just see the green there. The iron's actually coated it pretty much. Now, sometimes when you're spraying, instead of getting a nice wide even coverage, a fan, because this is called a flat fan, and it's because of the shape. Sometimes it'll come out across 2/3, but then there'll be a bit of a gap. And the reason we get them gaps is because this has been placed on the floor and it's got a little scratch, a little burr in the top. Okay? And they're often so small, and what you can often do is just get your fingernail and just rub it along the inside and feel it. And sometimes you can pick them off. But if not, you can get your Stanley blade. Right? You want to hold it flat and just shave off any burrs or any lumps that are sticking up. Better still, you can buy replacement nozzles. They're a couple of quid each. So all you want is 2 or 3 of them and you're good to go. So that is it. Have you got any questions about sprayers? Again, it's just general cleaning this. If you're using a weed killer and you put weed killer in, you need to use it all up, okay? So you need to use it all up. Don't just go chucking that away. Use it all up and then fill it up with water and rinse it. Spray it through somewhere, a dead area, okay? And then repeat that 2 or 3, 4 more times. Molly, can you be quiet, babe? I'm just recording.
Coffee.
Alright, alright.
You want to watch it?
That's fine. So yeah,
Oopsie. I want to do it again.
oh, she's a monkey. Yeah. Anyway, what am I saying? So if it's weed killer, Molly. So if it's a weed killer that you've got in the sprayer, what you need to do is use it all up and then rinse it 2 or 3 times. They call it triple rinsing. And then it's safe to put anything else in, like fertilisers and things like that. With iron, don't leave iron in there too long, really. Use it for what you need to use it, and then make sure you've only made enough up, and then give it a rinse out. Just put some warm water in, feed it through, and then some cold water so it's ready for the next time you're ready to use it. So you've cleaned it all through. We've shown you how to clean the filter inside of here, and you can undo these if you wish and take the parts out and clean those. You can put grease or WD-40 on the little spring there, which forces the handle to spring back open. And finally, I just showed you how to go on with just cleaning the nozzle on the end. So yeah, if you've got any questions, pop them down below. If you like it, one of them, and feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.